Okay folks, welcome back to another Budget Gem or Budget Bust. And I got another amplifier that's very, very highly anticipated this week. I have got in-house for an unboxing and an amp dyno, the Soundqubed S1-2250. Oh yes. Now I thought about throwing a swerve out there, and instead of doing this amp today, I would do this amp, which is the dual XPR 82D from Walmart. But I said, no, I don't want to be lynched. We're going to go forward with this one. So let's just get right down to it. There's a lot of questions surrounding this amplifier. Of course, number one is how much power this thing actually puts out. We're going to answer that. Another question is, how closely related to this amplifier is the Scar RP2000.1D? We're going to answer that question. So let's just dive into it. Let's get this amp unboxed. Let's see what Soundqubed gives us for $249. Okay, I've technically already opened this box. Just wanted to peek inside. So otherwise, there's normally another box that you gotta slide on open. We have here the Soundqubed owner's manual. We'll get to the ratings here in a second. Of course, oh boy, we have our amplifier itself. We'll take that out of the plastic. You have your Allen keys, pretty standard, so you can hook this amp up. Remote bass cable. And the highly anticipated remote bass knob. It's got the nice little cube logo on there, so it's not a standard job by any stretch. And what's fascinating about this one, and what I think makes it a really nice value, this one also has a clip indicator light on there. So you're going to be able to set your gain through this bass knob pretty accurately, so no DD-1 required for you folks at home. Let's take this amp out of the plastic, and we're going to get a nice little look at here. Ta-da! Very nice black anodized heatsink on the amplifier, and this is an engraved Soundqubed logo right here on the top. So already advantage Soundqubed over Scar. This isn't a white painted logo on here. It's actually engraved. So nice job there. As for how this amplifier is rated, checking out the specs in the owner's manual. This amp, if I can find it. This amplifier is rated at 800 watts at 4 ohms, 1300 watts at 2 ohms, and 2300 watts at 1 ohm. It also has in here a power rating at 1 ohm at 16 volts at 2800 watts. So we'll see about that. When I tested the Scar goes into protect over 16, so I'll be curious if this one goes to protect as well. So let's take a look around the amp and see what we've got. Along this side of the amplifier you have your terminals, and since this amplifier is going to consume quite a bit of current, Soundqubed has given you 1-aught inputs for both power and ground. Of course, right here is your remote power input, and of course a summed mono speaker outputs. These can take all the way up to 8 gauge. Flipping the amp over to this side, and we see our inputs. You have your RCA inputs over here. This is your power and protect light there. Your gain, your subsonic filter, which is adjustable from 10 Hertz to 50 Hertz. You have your upgraded over the Scar remote gain input. This one uses a phone adapter versus a 3.5 millimeter plug like the Scar. You have your low pass filter, which is adjustable from 200 Hertz all the way down to 20 Hertz. And again, this amp is strappable. So you have your switch between master and slave, and your single RCA output or input to link the two amps together. Okay, comparing the Soundqubed directly head-to-head against the Scar, you can really see the differences between these two amps just looking at them. The Soundqubed here is not as wide as the Scar. It sits at about 17.5 inches versus 18.5 for the Scar. And width-wise, the Scar is just under 6.5 inches. Soundqubed here comes in at just about 7.5 inches wide. Another thing is too, when we check out the guts inside, first you're going to see here, this is the Scar. And now let's look at the Soundqubed. And you can really see the boards are differently laid out. I do think these might be made in the same build house. And the Soundqubed here is what I would call the evolution of this board here. As you can see, I mean, you can bridge two Soundqubed amps together. You can't do that in the Scar. And I would view this more as the Gen 2 of this amp here. And when you look at the Scar RP 3500s and 4500s, both of those have the same linking feature that this Soundqubed has. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say eventually, later down the road, the RPs, the 2000 here, may eventually get that ability to link. Well, with that being said, let's get to what you guys have all been waiting for. You're done talking. You're done listening to me talk. You don't want to hear me talk anymore. You want to know, what does the Soundqubed put out? Let's do it. Let's hook this up to the dyno. Let's see how much power exactly comes out of the Soundqubed S1-2250. Now that the amp is all fired up, I did want to mention to you guys one quick thing. I mentioned earlier in the manual, it states that this amplifier will do 2800 watts at 16 volts. Well, I don't know how Soundqubed came to that, because my starting voltage through the batteries was 16.1, and the amp goes into protection at 16.1 and doesn't come out of it until I am down around 15.8. So I don't know how they got the rating in there, but I can tell you right now, this amp is not able to do over 16 volts. So don't plan on using this with a 16 volt battery bank. folks, final thoughts here. Soundqubed S1-2250. You saw the results. Huge power that comes out of this. So yes, right off the bat, budget gem. Nice job, Soundqubed. Exceeded all its ratings. You know, as you saw, over 2,360 watts certified at 1 ohm. Over 2,700 watts at 1 ohm dynamic. Over 2,600 watts uncertified. Nice. Beautiful job. Definitely budget gem. Now, is this amp better than the Scar? You know, last week I kind of said really the champion of budget amps on a cost per watt basis is the Scar. Well, we got a little bit less power than what I got out of the Scar, and the voltage was a little bit lower for the Soundqubed than what was on the Scar. So I mean, I think volt to volt they might be very similar, though I do think the dynamic edge does go to the Scar over the Soundqubed. Another advantage of the Scar, it is more efficient. So, you know, I mean, some people might say, okay, well, that could be a deal breaker. Well, it's not that much different. I mean, we're talking 12 amps. It's not an additional battery. It's not anything else. But it's worth noting. But I gotta say here, there's a $20 difference in price. The Soundqubed offering you the ability to link 2 amps together, the ability of having a clip indicator in the remote bass knob, a better overall design to the remote bass knob, period. For 20 bucks, me personally, I think it's worth it. I think this is the best amp you can buy for under 250 bucks. And awesome job by Soundqubed. I can't wait. I've got a Q4 100 sitting on my shelf back here, waiting to be tested again. You'll see that in a few weeks. I'm excited to see what these guys do with this line. So, great job, Soundqubed. That's all I got, folks. I'll catch you next time. I got more amps to test. Until then. All right, see you next week.